What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Sunday Summary. I'm super thankful that you guys joined me today. We are studying this new message continuing this new series of non-negotiables about love. But today I have a special guest who's going to join me and help me. Her name is Jenny.
Jennifer Ramos.
Welcome, Jenny. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
No, yeah. It's the honor is here. Wait, no. It's my pleasure.
Yeah,
it's so I got the mix up of the words there.
No pasa nada.
No pasa nada. We're good.
nada.
We're all good. But yeah, so we are continuing the series called Non-Negotiables about love.
Yes.
We're talking about like love because it's February, Valentine's, right? All the lovey.
Even though it's past, but it continues.
We're still talking about
The
it.
series continues.
It's important, right? So, what do you mean about non-negotiables? Well, everybody has a sort of list of what we want in our love lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we're talking about what God wants for us in our love lives, right? So, there's a list that He has for us. And so, today we're talking about the kind of love that you need. Not that you want, but that you need. Because there's a difference.
Big difference.
Yeah. So, the first point that we went over this past weekend was we need a love that can listen. At first, when I heard this, I was like, what do you mean love that can listen? I was a little confused.
Mm-hmm.
But the pastor was just kind of describing a love that listens when you are experiencing a love in terms of whether it's a family relationship or a friend, you want to make sure that love that they have for you is genuine,
Mm-hmm.
and they listen to you whether they're
Right.
problem situations, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like that's very important in our
Mm-hmm.
relationships, friendships, family, that they listen to you,
Right.
right? How does that affect people? Do you think that it's important or no?
That friendships, particularly,
Yeah.
listen to you. I think it's very important because it not only shows that they care by kind of just. I feel like listening is a part of reciprocating your love, and when you listen, it shows that you care and you support the person as well. Whether you have an answer or not, I think listening is a big factor into relationships,
Yeah.
and it plays a big factor into just showing love.
Yeah.
So it is very, very much important to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, it is.
Listen to your friends,
Listen
guys.
to your listen to your wives and husbands if you're married, your girlfriends and boyfriends,
Yeah.
and your parents. Like, it's very important. We talked about the importance, or not the importance, but rather the 4 different types of loves that and the Bible describes.
Right.
We have one word for love, and it's just love, right? Like, my love again for pizza is different from my love for Jenny, my friend. My love for my mom is different from my love for my job. It's completely different, but we use that word for everything, but it's not valued or measured the same.
Yeah.
So there's 4 different types of love, and I kind of went last week. The first one is Eros love. This love is the sexual romantic love that everybody has with their partner, right? This love doesn't really listen to anybody, like, because you're blinded with this love. We feel like this is the right person, blah, 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 and we don't listen to anybody else,
Yeah.
right?
I think just adding on to that, I think Eros love, majority of the time, had he mentioned in the beginning of the video, is kind of just what you want and not what you need.
Yeah.
And so even though you may love this person, sometimes it's not out of true, genuine love. It can be out of lust. And confusing those two, I think, can be done very easily when you're not guided by God and by the support and the care, by good influences and wise people.
Yeah, and it's crazy though that when we are so blinded in our love for this one person, we completely ignore everybody and everything around us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that causes us to fall.
Yeah.
And that comes to the second part of love is storge love, which listens to parents and family. But it's so sad that when we fall in love into this, unicorn type of world that, oh my gosh, this is the right person, we don't listen to mom and dad or family.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they advise us or they say I don't like them. They advise you like that person's not for you,
Mm-hmm.
And storge love is important in the family love, to listen to your parents and to family, because they know you they know you well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
and
can advise you.
I think it's really important too. I had mentioned this to a friend once as well, is that I know there's like sometimes there's a big gap between parents and their kids and not knowing their kids
Mm-hmm.
fully. But I think many times we tend to forget that our parents didn't necessarily live the lives we lived, but sometimes they lived even like much harsher lives.
Yeah.
And so sacrificing a lot of things, whether it is like coming to this country or whether it is like not attaining a higher education for just providing for the family, like they went through hardships as well. And although they can't give you like the exact advice you need for your situation, I think knowing that your parents hold wisdom from them growing up, them like if your parents are still together as well, like there's a lot of wisdom with them being together because you know, loving your partner is almost never, I don't think it's like the easiest thing to do 24/8. And so I think parents hold a lot of wisdom in that as well. And knowing that they have knowledge, you know, regardless of that generational gap, is a very important thing to do.
Super important. And they want what's best for you. You know, they know that what they went through, they don't want you to go through.
Right.
So they'll tell you, you know, they'll advise you. And so again, we need that love that we're willing to listen to that advice. And that brings on to the third point, and it's filial love, right? That filial love listens to friends. You know, we have close friends that you know, I'll do whatever you want, you know, I support you, you know. Honestly, I don't think those are really friends. But those friends that will tell you what you don't want to hear, those friends that are there for you, that they'll confront you when you're wrong, that they'll tell you what's the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. You know, those are the type of friends that we need to be willing to listen to in the love that we have for each other in terms of the friendship. You know, it's very important. I feel like when sometimes that love is established strong in that friendship, that friendship can challenge each other, they can help each other, they can support each other, but just be there for each other and kind of like confront that one thing that is not right. You know, if I'm dating someone, you know, that, you know, it's not good for me, I feel like you or someone, you know, no me gusta, or vice versa, or your friends or my friends, you know, they'll be there and they'll tell us the truth, you know. And friends are very important. We're gonna find those true friends that are looking for our best interest. I mean, no más theirs.
Right, and that they challenge you, I think, constantly in a sense to always be a better you. Friendships that are stagnant and are not either challenging you or like helping you think of a more critical way to look at situations as opposed to just always being on your side. Yeah, I think you need to question those friendships because friendships are supposed to allow you to grow. Yeah, you know, despite all the peleas that y'all have, disagreements. Oh yeah, translation. Peleas means fights. Despite all that, like they still got your back, and so yeah, I think it's really important to not be in stagnant relationships, regardless whether it's a friend, a partner, and even your family. I feel like family is the one type of relationship. Those are the type of relationships that really challenge you because they know how to get under your skin. I know my family do, but I love y'all. And so, no,
they do. And so, but they are there for you, and they kind of know you too. They know you pretty well, and they're there to help you, you know. The fourth and last love that we talked about, and that it's part of this whole series, is the agape love. This love is the love of God and listens to God. You know, God's love is the most important, if not the only type of love that we need. All right, it goes back to the title of the video, the kind of love that you need, and that's God's love. And so, if we have love from God, we're willing to listen to Him and His discipline and His guidance, His wisdom, and it's super important. Like, I don't know how else I can stress it or how else I can just explain it to you guys, but God's love is super important, and you need it. Like you need it because you're empty, I'm empty. Like we need His love. It's overpasses everything. It's unconditional, perfect. It's pure. It's just wonderful.
It knows
it's
all too. It knows everything from like every angle. Yeah. And so He's loving you through all different angles.
All the time.
Regardless of the situation, whether it's bad or good. God isn't out here to, you know, like make our lives miserable. No. You know, He's a God of joy. He's a God of grace. And yes, He's a God of anger. He's a God of fear as well. But all of that is even done in love. Yeah. From that angle. Because He wants the best for you. Right? Yeah. The second point that brings up into this message is that love must listen because love is learned. One point that I was telling Jenny earlier was that if we know God, we know His love. And if we know His love, we can listen to Him
And he then in return teaches us how to love not only ourselves but others and God and himself, you know? Like love, when we listen, when we're open and willing and open-minded to receive all sort of wisdom, it's learned to love. We can love ourselves, we can love others, and we can love God. And that becomes more easier. But it's different, and it's scary that this verse that it says here in Proverbs 26, it says that many claim to have unfailing love, but a faithful person who can find. In other words, so many people want to say, I fell in love, but not many people stayed in love. You know, that love that they so-called lasted a year, 6 months, you know, that first argument they had, gone, you know, and it's so rare to see relationships and friendships too, and family members that stays within the relationship with love, with strong love.
Right.
It's very rare because no one's faithful anymore. That's so sad, man. It's true, but like,
a broken world.
Damn, we need Jesus.
But God is here. I promise you, He is.
Yeah. And so that's why learning God's love and receiving it is very important. Super, super important. You know, and so love must listen because love is learned. We learn over time. We learn to accept, to forgive, to move on, and to love people, you know, and that only comes from God. You see, people have love in the world, but that love cools down. That love gives up. That type of love is temporary. It has an expiration date. God's love doesn't. It's unconditional.
Right.
Everlasting. It's like doesn't have an expiration date or any conditions, really, you know?
Yeah.
So that is the second point. The third point that we're going to talk about is love must be taught. This is something that, like, us being young and we are looking towards people, older people, we don't, like, the majority of millennials don't want to learn how to love. They just want to do because, I feel it in my heart. You know, and that's super dangerous. That is so dangerous because we rather listen to our friends who suck at love or who don't love at all than listen to our parents who are married for 60, 50, 40 years in love, and we deny their advice, but we're going to go to that one friend who wants to tell us everything we want to hear, even though their love life sucks.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that? That's so frustrating because, like, oh my gosh, like, why are you going to listen to them?
Yeah.
But it must be taught. But who teaches us to love? Jesus? Yeah. Jesus. But
I was like Jesus question mark?
You're like, Jesus question?
Affirmative.
Of course, Jesus. He teaches us how to love. But when we look for someone on earth to, like, hey, like, someone here to teach us, we look towards that wise people who know God, who know His love, and who are older and experienced. That's very important.
Okay, so Titus chapter 2 verse 4 states, these older women must train the younger women to love their husbands and their children. Although I am not married, I interpret this verse. I interpret this verse as kind of just seeking wisdom from older people, not just any older people. I think it's very wise to seek wisdom from people who have more knowledge than us younger folks with Jesus. And so this verse to me basically means that, like, these older women have already experienced more than you have. They're far more in their journey, not only with their husband, but also with Christ. And so God has given them much more wisdom because of their, like, realistically speaking, because of their lifespan.
Yeah.
So just like with anything, like practice, the more practice you get, the longer you do it, the better you are. And so this is, I think it's just speaking in terms of kind of just common sense, like how you look at it.
Yeah.
And so being very wise with who do you go to wisdom to is very important. I tend to go, like, when I seek wisdom, it's either from, like, señoras, like probably like my mom, my sister. She's not a señora, but she is definitely older than me. My sister Letty, and not only because she knows me, but also because she's been through a lot more than I have. And so even just simple things like that, I think are very important to do when being taught something or wanting to learn something.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like when we just take that consideration to seek the type of wisdom or just advice from older people, it really does a difference in seeking my friends, or those who don't know what love is, And entonces we have this sort of understanding that, maybe parents could be that person, maybe your youth leaders or your pastors, teachers, anybody that you can look up to, your counselors that have maybe not a perfect love life, but a love life that is good. And you can see it, positive. That even though through error, through trials, through disagreements, they're still strong. They're still holding on to each other. Our pastor gave a little story, like their grandparents, his grandparent, the father, he has Alzheimer's, and he completely doesn't know anybody. Like forgot who his wife was, and his wife, obviously, she still is alive and still loves him. And on Valentine's Day, she went to go visit him, and they hold hands and they were together, and that love is still there. Like even though like he doesn't like remember, but I feel like he was saying like having that physical touch with her, like kind of like, oh, like wow, like having that sort of connection.
Yeah, romantic love must be directed also in the sense that, I don't know, I feel like God wants our best interest again, and he wants us to be with somebody that spiritually allows you to grow as well. Yeah. And so I think that falls into direction as well, because when God is in the center of everything, there is direction.
Yeah.
Like there's no withering, of like for example, like unequally yoked relationships.
What does that mean?
Stuff like unequally yoked.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just kidding. Unequally yoked. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is when there is a believer partner and a non-believer partner, and so one believes about Jesus Christ and what he came to do on this earth, and then what our mission here on earth is to do, and then it could be a non-believer, somebody who just doesn't believe in Jesus Christ or has a different religion, or it can just kind of mean like even like a lukewarm partner.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah.
And so unequally yoked, unequal meaning
yes.
And so there's no balance here, honey. Yeah. And so as far as beliefs goes, how to raise your kids, it's always gonna majority of the time just clash. Like the beliefs are not gonna align.
Always. I see this all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And I'm really like the monkey, bro. Like really, it's like right there, God is giving you that red flag. But you're choosing to blend. At that point, if you're gonna choose to not see it, like at least like have some respect for yourself. Like, okay, I'll accept that this person does this, but like it's completely like the opposite what people do, and they completely ignore God's warnings.
Yeah.
And then, oh, God, I don't want your advice right now for you to tell me who to be with. Oh, but when I'm miserable and I'm suffering, please, I need your help. Come on, it's like. Yeah. God was literally trying to help you to prevent that. Pero ahí vas.
Ahí vas. No, yeah, and I think too, again, he does it for a reason. He doesn't want, relationships are hard, regardless of which kind. And so with being equally yoked, I think depending on where you guys are in your spiritual walk.
Definitely.
I think you do avoid less issues because, again, God is in the center of the relationship. And so the direction, again, goes right there. Yeah. Regardless of anything.
And I even seen people, unfortunately, people who are equally yoked and who are Christians, who both love God, don't work out. Why? Because it's not their time. It's not the right person. God has someone else for you. Or it could be other things. Maybe they're not equally financially. They're not equally educationally, or they're not, it's different. I think having that sort of equalness in terms of what you want to do, your vision, your goals together, what you want to do for the Lord is powerful. Mm-hmm. And that makes a huge difference in your relationship, And so I think personally for me, like having that woman who is, that wife who's going to support you spiritually, is going to lift you up in prayer, is going to be there. and then vice versa, you know, because a lot of people just are selfish. What are you gonna do for me? What are you gonna provide for me? And it's like, no, you have to think, what do I provide for them? You know, what in my life is a blessing for them.
Right.
And that when you start thinking that, when you start to move your mentality to how does it benefit them, and they will vice versa. It's like, well, how can I benefit you?
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be a beautiful relationship, especially because
And
God.
it's gonna be fireworks. Sorry, I'm
And cute. No. But it's really beautiful, and I think we all have our lists. We all have our mentality of who we want. How do they want to look like? What are they going to have? But at the end of the day, God has a list for us, and this is one of the lists. One of the part of the list is a love that listens, a love that is open-minded, that is listening to God's advice and not questioning everything, but rather just obey. You know, just listen. And so, love is patient. Love is kind.
Love is not
Are you love? Are you patient? Kind? Good? Like, no, what are you doing?
Not perfect.
We're all working on it.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. So, but yeah, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us tonight in our Sunday summary for today. I feel like God really speaks to us in the teaching of His Word.
Amen.
Her notes. You know, but yeah, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me, Oscar.
You're very much welcome.
Thank you.
You can come whenever you want.
Muchas gracias.
But yes, Jenny, so my prayer for you is that you find that person that loves God overall, and then in return will love and respect you
Igualmente.
overall.
Thank you.
Yes.
I would appreciate it
I know.
because I'm not very smart when it comes to boys. So I need some wisdom in that. Probably, but I'm not smart at all.
No? Bad experiences? I think we can speak.
Let's not throw some shade there.
I think we all go through that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we learn, I hope, right?
I'm learning.
We're all learning, and God is teaching us, and He's preparing us, and in this process, God reveals the right person for us, and that's the goal, right? Hashtag goal.
Hashtag go. Hashtag go.
Excuse me, goals. All right, guys, God bless you. I thank you so much for joining and tuning in to this Sunday summary. Make sure you leave a thumbs up if you love this video. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to follow Ms. Jenny. I'll put all her following down in the description. Instagram, her YouTube channel, everything. She's on there.
Not the YouTube channel. I retired from that
No,
one.
just kidding. I won't post that one. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week, and hope you guys enjoy this new series. Peace.
Bye.